Boom, boom, boom. This is Jared, and I'm back. Hey, this is Jared A. Brown. I'm the host of the Warriors Quest show. And today, I'm interviewing a very special guest. And I've got a great co host today as well, Steve the Kidney Nurse. But we'll be interviewing Michael Fergusson. And as the title says, right here, discovering the power behind helping those with CKD. Michael Fergusson, a great entrepreneur, and I want to really inspire people today, especially those who are struggling, because this is something that he's going to introduce that may help people on a daily basis. So let's inspire people today. All right, let's start this off by bringing my co-host over, Steve the Kidney Nurse. Here we go. Boom, Steve.
Hey, what's up,
Welcome.
Jared? What's going on? Long time.
I know it's been a minute. Yeah, it's good to be back. In the driver's seat with you, and doing this again. I'm excited to do this. So we've got Michael Fergusson as our special guest today, and uh, I want to be able to inspire people today. You had told me just a moment ago that you were on TikTok last night live talking about isolation, and I had mentioned that's real. The isolation is something that patients struggle with. And so, how important is it to inspire people who are feeling isolation and whatnot?
It's very important, Jared, because in fact, it's important because it helps maintain well-being and mental health. I just saw a kidney warrior today on Facebook, young female reaching out to anyone that can reach out to her or having the same issues of connecting with people. Um, and that's the thing with young people. For some of them, when they get diagnosed, they lose a lot of their friends
Hmm.
because the friends don't want to be around. They may feel like the person is always sick or something's going on and they don't want to be bothered. But it is extremely important to include people who deal with chronic illness and kidney disease and to check up on them.
Definitely. I know you and I have, we've been able to interact with so many different people in the kidney disease community, and we know firsthand with that interaction that there have been some that are distraught, depressed, down and out. And so, again, that's why I want to inspire people today. So I'm excited to interview Michael Fergusson so that we can introduce what he's doing, um, because it may help people on a daily basis with what he's introducing. And so let's bring on our special guest, Michael Fergusson.
Absolutely.
All right, Michael. Nice to have you on, Michael. Thanks for coming on the Warriors Quest show.
Oh, it's really my pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me, guys. I'm inspired already.
Thank
Oh,
you.
absolutely. Thanks for
Yeah.
being here. Jared, can you play musical chairs with this?
Yeah. Let's play some musical chairs here. So, Michael, I'm going to move us around. You're going to be the important spot right here. Boom.
What?
Yeah. So musical chairs. So let's uh, let's talk about what's happened in your with your company, Michael. The founder and CEO. I find it very interesting as an entrepreneur. What prompted you to start all this?
Well, being an entrepreneur is a privilege. You have the opportunity to build something that never existed before, and to do it with other people. It's like, for me, it's all like, it's a kind of spiritual quest almost, right? You've got all these ideas in your head,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody else has some ideas in their head, and you're going to get them out and you're going to put them together and you're going to make one new better thing out of it, right? And
Right,
make it
right.
real in the world. And that's all that we really have, as human beings, right? Is just to do things in the world, and
Mm-hmm.
that make a difference. And so, this is not my first company; it's my fifth company. And I started several with the with the team that I began this company with. And we, we've done fun stuff. We made video games, built a video game studio, sold that. We
Wow.
built did enterprise software. I got a bunch of patents for like really esoteric types of
Uh-huh.
technology stuff they use on the International Space Station and that sort of thing. But you know, it always felt like a step removed from either from people in general or from the like positive effect that you could really have in somebody's life. So when we were looking for something new to do, we said, you know what, let's start looking for places where we can have an impact on people that are close to us. I have an uncle who passed away not that long ago from complications from diabetes and kidney disease. And, it's touched so many people's lives, all kinds of things in the healthcare space. But this one in particular, it hits close to home with lots of people and care about. And we just really wanted to try to do something. We didn't even really know exactly what it was we were going to do when we started out, and we
Okay.
just started looking for problems to solve,
Uh-huh.
that were amenable to our particular expertise. On behavioral economics, cognitive neuroscience, software engineering, service design. And we just really inspired by the people we met, people like you too, and like the nurses and physicians and social workers and nutritionists, everybody who works in the space. Met so many inspiring, focused, dedicated people. We just really thought, we felt like we'd kind of come home with the with our business ambitions, and really feel like we've had the chance to do something that I hope will really help people live better lives.
Hmm.
Very nice, very nice. So,
Mike, oh, go ahead, Jared.
no, I was just gonna say, Steve, what what kind of questions do you have for Michael? I was just gonna say that because so Michael, it's a yogi. Is that the did I pronounce that right?
I'm an Ayogi.
A
That's what we call
Yogo.
ourselves. But the company's called Ayogo.
A yogo. There we
Ayogo. I mean,
go.
the people that work here, we call ourselves Ayogis.
There we go. There we go. Okay. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun.
No, Mike, by your company being a healthcare technology company,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I see one of your cases, or I guess would be a program you have called CKD LifePlan.
Yes, that's right.
Now, how does that particular app, or if it's an app or program, um, how does that help the everyday person dealing with chronic kidney disease or kidney failure?
Okay, well, we're jumping right into the heart of it here. I mean, this is what is consuming my my life, my days, our whole team.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're really, really excited about this service. It's a technology-enabled service. So first of all, let me just sort of describe in general the problem, the use case that we're trying to address here, and you can
Okay.
tell me if you feel like it resonates with you,
Mhm.
and we can kind of go from there. Um, we met a lot of people, probably close to 1,000 patients we spoke to in the last 5 years who are in that sort of stage 3B, stage 4 of advanced chronic kidney disease, and they need to start thinking about renal replacement therapies. They need to start thinking about transplant. They need to start thinking about maybe it's conservative care is the right approach for them. They need to be thinking about it for themselves and discussing it with their families. But the only opportunity that they have to have a discussion is in a clinic setting with a nephrologist or maybe a nurse, but in not
Right,
a not
right.
in a natural environment that feels familiar to them. And so often, even though they're surrounded by all these really caring, loving, caring people who are professionals, who really want to make good things happen, the patients themselves often felt like they were like, glazed, deer in the headlights,
Mm-hmm.
and they're surrounded by stimulus that they don't really recognize. So it's hard to pay attention. And many of them coped by bringing a family member to take notes and keep track of questions to ask, and that's very useful and helpful. But it occurred to us that there is an enormous amount of time away from the clinic. You spend, if you're lucky, you might get 2 hours a year with professionals, right, in
Right,
clinic
right.
settings. How many other hours in a year are there where you are actually living CKD, not just talking about it with a clinician, but actually having the lived experience of it. And wouldn't it be great to find a way to make that the place and the time where you are thinking about it and discussing it and reflecting on your values and how you want your values reflected in your care plan, and to be thoughtful about it, not like I'm just starting a conversation and I haven't prepared to talk to my doctor, but actually, thoughtful and
Mm-hmm.
discussion guides with your family and so on. So that's what we set out to build. We set out to build a tool to help sort of with education. So there's some knowledge there. There's often knowledge gaps that we can try to fill. Also, opportunities to reflect on, like, what do I really care about? What are my ambitions for my life? And what matters to me? Maybe I'm a deeply spiritual person. Maybe my church really matters to me, my religious beliefs, or maybe I'm a scientist, and I really, really care about the science. I need to understand things from that point of view. What is it about me that I want to see reflected in an education program, a shared decision-making program with my family, that I can then reflect back to my care team. And so we set about to build a system that solves that problem. Basically, a nephrologist can refer a patient, and one of the reasons I'm here is we're able to now just take patients can refer themselves to our program, which is
Okay.
very exciting. There's no cost to a patient ever. That's philosophically important to us. Maybe it's a very Canadian idea, but
No, I like it.
we think that it's important that people get access to helpful services, which we've managed to fund in other ways to make it available. In any case, we just need a person's to be in contact with us, whether it's their physician who refers them, basically gives us their name and phone number, or whether they refer themselves by sending us an email at lifeplan@ayogo.com. And then somebody on our team will reach out and start to craft a personalized education and shared decision-making program. And the whole thing happens conversationally. There's no apps to install. There's no
Mm-hmm.
passwords to remember. There's no logins. You're just in a conversation over SMS usually, or over texting,
Okay.
or could be email, with a guide who helps put together the education program that is suited to your goals and your values and your needs, and also your family. We incorporate caregivers as much as we can in the conversation too. And at the end of this process, you are the participants in our program tell us they feel much more confident, they feel much more informed, they feel much more engaged in the decisions that need to be made. Now I'm thinking about what modality of dialysis would work for me. Should I be at home? Should I go to clinic? Should I have
Mm-hmm.
hemo? Should I have PD? Or none
Right.
of that. I mean, those are big decisions, and you
Absolutely.
want to feel confident and informed and engaged in that process, and not rushed and not forced to make a decision you don't understand, but to feel like your values are really reflected in the decisions that you are making together with your care team.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Wow.
Now, do you do your organization just service patients in Canada or across the across the world?
We're in Canada and the United States, primarily in English right now. We're about to release the service in Spanish a little bit later this year, and then French, of course, for good Canadians, have to release it
Right,
in
right.
French. So North America is the market that we're primarily concerned with right now. We think there's a lot of really important work to be done in Central and South America, where Latin America, I think, is a place where we'd like to go next. But for the present moment, there's plenty to do here in North America and Canada and the U.S.
Wow. Wow. What has been your biggest challenge?
Oh well, you're asking a bit of a difficult question. How long do you have? I mean, there's a lot. It's a very challenging thing to do. I mean, there's business challenges, right? How do you pay for it? How do you get somebody to pay for it? You know that if a person is confident and they're well informed and they're engaged, they are much more likely to have a planned start
Yes.
on a chosen modality.
Yes.
That's such a valuable thing, and it costs so much money when people crash into the system. It just seems obvious that you should pay, right? Somebody should pay for
Right.
this. But actually finding out who, everyone's pointing at the other person to pay for it, right? And so that's one important challenge. And I
Yeah.
think we've made a lot of progress on that. But leaving aside the inside baseball kind of company entrepreneurial kinds of challenges, I think that every person is different. Getting a diagnosis of kidney disease, especially to hear that your kidney disease has advanced to the point where you need to start thinking about renal replacement therapies, that is a very challenging moment to live. And everybody experiences that moment differently. We have different cultural backgrounds. We have different levels of education about medical issues. There's just so much different. And the system is very good at standardizing solutions. We're going to give you this standard. We hear it all the time. We
Right.
need to standardize the educational material. We need to standardize it. Well, standardizing it, all that does is it just pushes it to the center of the bell curve. But we know that there's so many people that live in the outside edges of that bell curve. They need to be supported too. I mean, it's great to deliver your written content at a grade 6 reading level for those people who need to receive that content at a grade 6 reading level. But what about those people who are very highly educated and have an advanced reading level? What if you're a nurse, say, and very experienced in this area? That's just frustrating to get spoken to like you're in grade 6.
Right.
When, if you want and need that, it's very, very helpful. If you don't want to need it, it is not helpful at all. And so one of the real challenges that we've had that we've really tried to address in the current version of the product is the tailoring to the individual person's needs and wants and desires and preferences. So, do you want to get a lesson every day? Do you want to get one once a week? Which order should we do them in? You want to do the kidney basics and then modality selection, or do you want to focus on nutrition first and do the modality selection stuff after and decision aids? I mean, there's all this tailoring and individual personalization that we're so used to in so many other parts of our lives.
Right.
Look at Amazon, and I see a totally different thing than you see because Amazon knows that I'm a different person than you.
Yeah.
Right? And they take advantage of that and make things better, presumably, for us when we do that.
Sure.
But healthcare has not done a very good job of that kind of personalization, for generally good reasons. They have a difficult time with it. But that is one of the challenges we really tried to take on here and kind of prevent this slide towards the lowest common denominator on the one hand, or this slide towards very alienating, purely mechanical systems that use artificial intelligence and all this kind of thing. We really wanted it to feel human and be like a person that you're in conversation with, because, that's what human beings do best. We talk to each other and we understand each other and we care for each other and we respond to each other. And people I think they're hungry for that in society in large.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In this place too.
You had mentioned engagement earlier, and that resonated with me because patients that are actively engaged with, whether it's a renal nurse or a doctor, a nephrologist, but if they're actively engaged, where a doctor or somebody has bonded with that patient, if you feel me, then and they're actively engaged, then they're more apt to actually have they're more apt and they're more likely to want to move forward and have a better life. But there must be that engagement. If there's no engagement and there's that isolation that Steve and I were talking about, and there's no engagement, it's much more difficult for a patient to want to move forward and have a better life.
Yeah.
So that definitely resonated with me.
Yeah, no, that's really so true. Just maybe feel like revealing too much about the inside of my own mind here, but I think one of the things that I've come to realize now, like doing this work in healthcare for a decade, applying technology and new approaches to design in the healthcare space, is that the problems really aren't different,
Yeah.
right? It's the stakes that are different. The stakes are so much higher that things where you would just let it go by, oh, that person didn't really understand me, but who cares? We're just talking about coffee. Like they got my coffee order wrong. Who cares, right? But in the context that we're talking here, I mean, the stakes are so high, you need to feel heard.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be heard,
Yes.
obviously, but it's also important to feel heard.
Yes.
And I think that there's this sort of like this human contact bonding that is so important to mental health that you guys were
Mm-hmm.
talking about earlier. I mean, it's just so crucial and so hard to find in a room with beeping machines and and a steady flow of people that you only have 15 minutes to talk to. It can be quite dehumanizing, and the stakes are so high, and then the challenge, and then the obstacles to doing it right are quite high too. But yet the problems in some ways are just like they're so fundamentally human. You just talk about mental health and about just not feeling alone. I mean, what's more human than that?
I know. Right. Right. So,
Yeah.
Steve, you had some questions about the app, and so I don't know if those were, if what he had said had kind of answered your questions, but it sounds like, Michael, your app is customized based on the patient and what the patient wants to choose. So I is that what I'm hearing? Because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool, man. And I mean, I just think it's amazing, of course, because
Yeah.
it's mine, and I really love the team and the work they did on it. But I'll say something that I think is like especially amazing, which is that well, I'll tell you a little bit of anecdote first. So I've been working in tech since the mid '90s, right? I was like there for like the original internet sort of explosion,
Mm-hmm.
the web, and I helped design some of the early standards for the web itself. I worked at the World Wide Web Consortium for a while, designing the web. And one of the things that I think is really true is about technology is that
It's not working. I don't know, Michael. Sorry.
there
Oh,
we
there
go.
we go. There we go.
That technology goes through basically three stages, right? Um, it is powerful, and then it is beautiful, and then it is invisible. And that, when you think about the cycles that
Okay.
technology goes through, like
Yeah.
telecommunications, you could talk across these great distances with this telegraph thing. It was really, really powerful, but it was ugly and
Yeah.
hard to use. And you had special people that needed to do it. The average
Right.
person.
Right.
And then we got to phones, and then all of a sudden our phones got to be so beautiful, these jewelry that we carry around with us and all that kind of thing. And then the next phase of it is like the Internet of Things, the phones, just the communication just devices seem to go away, they become invisible. And that's kind of what we've tried to do with our product here. So our app is no app at all, right? There's nothing to install. You don't need to go to an app store. You don't need to remember a password or anything. All there is a conversation. There's a conversation between you and somebody who is not saying, I want you to do this, or I need you to do that. Or, that person is just saying, tell me what you need. Tell me who you are and what you want and what would be good for you. And I will facilitate. It's my job to guide, right? It's to guide you, which we call them guides. They're
Guys.
not educators or nurses or any of those other roles, which are
Uh-huh.
crucially important roles.
Sure.
But the role that our guide is playing is to guide, to bring together the things that the patient tells us that they want and care about, and deliver it to them, and to deliver it to them as seamlessly as possible. So it just comes as an email or a text message. Usually most people prefer text messages. Like,
Mm-hmm.
today's the thing, click on the thing, watch the video. You get a little introductory video from your guide. Hi, Michael. You know, I'm just here talking today. We have, because you asked about, traditional Mexican cuisine. I have a few recipes for you and some examples of ingredient substitutions you can do so that you can be eating off the same plate as your family. Because I know that it's really important to you that you don't eat different food than your family's eating at your family dinners. You said that's important, and so here I am going to deliver you something that is speaking to you in your context of your life. it gets delivered. You don't have to download, install, look at, we wanted it to be invisible and human as much as possible.
Mike, this pretty much almost sounds like a sort of disease management type of setting. And I would like to know, do your guides have any training dealing with people with kidney disease and kidney failure?
That is an excellent and very important question. And let me start my answer by saying, they are not our patients, right? So we're not delivering care, right? To us, they are participants in our program. They're somebody's patient,
Right.
but they're not our patient. So we are never telling them, this is what you should do. Here is your prescription for this, right? We have a set of material that we could draw from. That material's all been authored and approved, and right, we've been at it for years, right? Done, thousands of hours of medical, legal, and regulatory reviews around our country.
Sure.
But they are all trained though in kidney care and in CKD and in CKD education. So they all get a certification in CKD education and, importantly, in motivational interviewing. So, you can think of our guides as kind of like coaches, right? They're not that you tell them what it is that you want to do, and then they will help you find the good and right resources to do it. And some of the times that is referring you back to resources in the clinic, because, they've got social workers and nutritionists, and they've got all kinds of people there that could help you. Or sometimes it's referring to you to organizations like, the Kidney Foundation has got a ton of great materials. But it's also true that it's difficult to find, and it's difficult to navigate. It's difficult, to feel confident that you've got the right things and accurate information. And our guide's job is to make sure that the information that you receive is the best that we could find that is available, and it has been vetted by nephrologists and renal care nurses and nurse educators and nutritionists along the way.
Okay.
Yeah, but nobody at Ayogo will ever prescribe a medication or suggest a different solution for your dialysis machine. I mean, that's not at all what our organization has created this product to do. You could imagine using it in a disease management kind of context. So, we have actually built other programs that are designed to do that, but that's not what this one is. This one is education and shared decision-making. That's what this program is designed to do. Education and shared decision-making. And you're sharing, who are you sharing the decision with? Your family and also your clinician, if you choose. And that's always the patient's choice about who the information is shared with and how they want it to be used. But most people choose to have a spouse or child involved in the conversation about their care, and they like to have a report delivered back to their clinician that says, having discussed it with my family and thought about my values, here is what I think my preferences are. Let's discuss it.
Interesting. Okay.
Do you work with people that's on dialysis as well, or just people that's in the stages of kidney disease?
We will follow people through the start of dialysis, because obviously we've been talking to them all along, right? And understanding how your kidneys are supposed to work is useful also when you're on dialysis. There's some of that information is transferable. So, and you'd like to still access it. So we stay with those participants when they sort of cross that threshold. But generally speaking, the program, at least as it's designed right now, is really designed for people who are on this side of a start on dialysis.
And wait a minute, Jared, just one more question I was thinking of. So you mentioned that in 3A, 3B of stage 3 kidney disease that you start.
Well, 3B and 4 is kind of where we're focused mostly.
Right.
We do get 3As as well, and that we have lots of good material for them.
Okay. Nevertheless, do you just focus on what's next? What I mean by, because it almost sounds like it's been a little bit more reactive than proactive. And what I mean by that, do you talk about how to stop the progression of stage 3B from going to stage 4? Just halting that, because maybe it may be inevitable, but when you said that, it reminded me of a gentleman when I traveled in nursing as a dialysis nurse that I met down in the southern part of the United States. And his kidney doctor, he was at stage 3. They referred him to go see an access surgeon to get an access put in his arm instead of giving him information to halt the progression, because we know 9 out of 10 people have stage 3 and don't even know it. So you would think that you would want to address what's causing the kidneys to get to that point of stage 3 and then stopping that progression. But I just wondered, do your organization focus on stopping the progression more than talking about what's next, like going on dialysis, preemptive transplant, conservative therapy?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, let me just agree with everything you just said. I mean, it is really important that we listen to people about what they want from their lives, right? So your doctor telling you that you should go get an access point put in, and they haven't spoken to you about what it is that you want. You want to put that off for as long as possible with good, well thought through nephroprotection type of strategies. I mean, that's really important, to have those conversations. And I feel like those kinds of decisions get made not because doctors are lazy or bad people or anything like that. It's just, it's just hard to have conversations, and it's hard to have conversations in general, but it's hard, especially in a context like that. We don't have very much time in clinic in front of a physician and so on. So, we're a small company. If we were 250 people, I guarantee you we'd be doing all kinds of things, because I think that our approach here, our design approach and our experience design and service design that we've put together in this program is powerful and generalizable, and we're really excited about using it in all kinds of ways. Our focus rate so far in this product for most of the last 4 years we've been working on it has been on modality selection and shared decision-making process.
Gotcha.
Right, in modality selection. But we are now, I'm talking about things that we're just starting to do, which the product team told me not to do too much of that. But I'm gonna break the rule and do it a little bit.
Okay.
We are the next most important thing for us to do is nephroprotection type programming. People want nephroprotection. People want to extend the amount of time that they live without dialysis, right? Renal replacement therapy is the thing that you get when you have to get it, and you want to put that off for as long as you can. You want to extend your.
So you're basically talking conservative therapy.
Yeah, I think so.
To a certain degree.
To a certain degree, that's right. And and as I was saying before, everybody's life is different. Everybody's goals are different. Everybody's circumstances are a little bit different. So it's very important to think about what it is that you really want to accomplish in your life, what would make you feel good, what works for you, works for your family, and then have that reflected back in best practice type of programs that will help you, manage your diet, manage your exercise, stay adherent to the medications that you're supposed to be taking, in order to stay as healthy as you can for as long as you can, because it's not about the length of your life so much as it is about the quality of your life.
Quality.
That's so important that, that we ask people, what is a quality life to you? What does it mean to you? What kind of quality life would you like to have? And let's help you get that. And we said we provide some reporting, like a shared decision-making report that encapsulates some of the insights that we get in conversation that you can then share with your physician if you choose. And the physicians that we have been working with and talking to about the design of that document tell us that there are really useful, genuine insights there for them about what a person's values are, what they value more and what they value less, what they care about and what they would like their care to be like. That the physicians can't always do everything that they would like or everything that you would like. But often there are things that they could do if only they knew.
Right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to close some of those gaps that not because anybody's bad nature,
No.
it's just, but they just are gaps,
Sure.
and we just want to recognize they exist and help the people,
Hmm.
to connect, whether it's with your physician or your family
Mm.
Or what, or whoever.
or
Right. And
whomever. Yeah,
and what a powerful question, Steve.
yeah.
To ask a question, what kind of quality of life is, what does that mean to you when you're asking a patient? What a powerful question that is. I love that.
Oh, absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. But I'd like to ask, how many people do you have actively participating in the CKD Life Plan?
Yeah, so we've got through a couple of different versions of it where it's like it's a product that's in development. So we have
Oh,
had,
okay.
so we have, continuously in development. We're that kind of company that's continually improving our product. Although we did pass the kind of commercialization, commercial ready threshold recently,
Okay.
which is why we're talking now. We feel like we can actually sort of take the wrapping off it or whatever, for the
Yeah.
public.
Mm.
We've had nearly 1,000 patients use our
All
program
right.
across all the various phases of development.
Uh-huh.
The current program that we're running right now has about 50 patients in it, and that is the one that we're opening up to the general public.
Uh-huh.
So if your listeners, or anybody that that you would feel like they would value or get some value out of our program, we'd love to hear from them. They'll get a lot of personal attention at the moment because our guides, are really asking a lot of questions and being very attentive in
Intensive. Okay.
at this moment. So I think it's a good time to get engaged with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we just be happy just to feel like people were using it and getting real value out of it. Just as people use it, we learn. We learn because we talk to people. We
Evolves.
learn from the
Mm-hmm.
people. So as much as it is like a service that we are giving out to the world, and we've managed to find some funding for it, and it's funded, so people don't have to pay. As much as it is a service that we're offering, it is also a service that we are receiving. When people, there's a lot of things you could do with your time, and you are thinking about the most important thing in the world, which is your health, right? And your relationship to your health and your family and all that. To spend any of that time talking with Ayogo, we consider it a privilege. So, it is a service. We recognize we're asking for something here. We're asking for people to trust us and pay attention to what it is that we're doing and care enough about what we're doing to try to help us make it better. That's what we're all about right now, is just trying to get, we think we've got a system here that is really good, but there's a lot more that it could do, a lot more different variations of things, a lot of differences between people that we could understand better and make the system more flexible and build out the content set even more. And there's just so much more that we could be doing, and we're hungry to do it because it's a very, very rewarding work.
Wow.
Mm.
So, Michael, with you having been immersed with technology and having a background with technology, you really get animated when you talk about that, and
Mhm.
I like that. How excited are you about how your product is evolving and how you're adding to it, and how it can be improved and so on and so forth?
Mm.
Well, I will tell you that it is the great privilege of my life to work with the people that I work with here at Ayogo, who are deeply dedicated people. I mean, I wasn't exaggerating before when I said it's like a spiritual quest for
Wow.
us.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing, I think, the most important kind of thing that human beings have ever done, which is just to
Yeah.
make something exist that didn't exist
Sure.
before, and to have that thing make the world better in some way. So it's a real privilege, really, to be part of it. I love the people I work with, and how dedicated they are to their work, how talented they are in ways that I'm just not talented, and how caring. And we have the opportunity to work with patients and their families, and that is deeply rewarding. And you know, physicians and nurses, everybody knows, nobody chooses to become a nurse for the money, right? You take that career because you're called to it. And my wife's a nurse and my mom's a nurse, and I'm surrounded by people who do what they do because it's in their nature to be good and kind and giving. And I said that there's a very few other things I could imagine that could give me as much joy as this work. And while it is very, very hard, and certainly plenty of times where I'm like, I wake up in the middle of the night and whatever, there's so many problems to solve and so many things to try to get to come together. But yeah, it's hard to imagine doing anything else that would feel more rewarding. And and I get to have conversations like this,
Yeah.
with the two of you, people who really care a lot about what you were doing. And
Mhm.
I mean, as I said, I showed up kind of inspired in advance from the work that you guys do and the conversation that you have and the personalities that you're bringing to this. So you could have spent this time talking to anybody, and you spent it talking to me. So I just really value and appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to ask you, what stands your organization apart from other health and technology companies that focus on CKD prevention, pretty much almost like what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are there are some easier answers than others. I mean, our backgrounds that we bring to our work here is largely, behavioral economics and cognitive neuroscience and service design, experience design, the psychology of human experience. How do people interact with complex systems and complex problems and complex information, sort of sorted out into like a simpler decision that a person could make and then actually implement it. So that's sort of the background that we brought to this, and in particular how that works in social environments. And that's my, if I have a background,
Okay.
that's really
Okay.
it. It's the design of social systems. And so that's a little bit different. Often health tech companies, their backgrounds are as medical professionals, which is a amazing background to have, and we do have medical professionals in our company too. But among the founders, usually you might be a doctor that founded the company, or maybe it's a technologist, somebody who's like an engineer, a computing science specialist. But we're really human factors people here. We're about the human beings and
Mm-hmm.
how human beings understand things and interact with things. That's really our expertise. So that's one thing that sets us apart. And I guess the other thing is just philosophically, we think about what we are doing maybe a little bit differently. What does it mean to have a for-profit company, at all, but in the healthcare space, right?
Okay.
In profit motive and capitalism has done a lot of really wonderful things, and done some things that are not so wonderful, I think.
True.
But it has done some pretty wonderful things. And one of those things is it is a way for us to think about taking risks. And you take risks to get rewards, right? And
Mhm.
our company exists to take a certain kind of risk. We don't want to take, obviously there's bad risk and there's good risk, right? But the kind of risk that we're taking is we're trying to build things where it's not obvious that they can be built.
Okay.
It's not
Wow. I
obvious that
like
these
that.
problems can be solved, right? If you knew that this problem could be solved, well, you just do it. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
you wouldn't need a company, you didn't even need to raise some money, you just go and just do it. But
Uh-huh.
because we're trying to solve problems where the solutions are not obvious, and when you have a solution, it's not obvious that it could even actually work, you know, um, that is the kind of risk that entrepreneurs take.
Yes.
Somebody once defined an entrepreneur to me as a person who pursues an objective um, without consideration of resources currently under their control.
I like that.
Mm.
Very that's a very good description. I like that.
Yeah. So, you're trying to build the thing, it's going to take, a lot of time and energy and money, and it might not work. And you don't have all the energy and you don't have all the money that you need to do it. And you're going to have to find it while you're doing it. That is both what makes being an entrepreneur so exhilarating, but also what makes it so stressful. And
Got to
difficult.
balance that, huh?
You got to balance it, right?
Yeah,
But when it starts to come together,
it's beautiful and
it is like
gratifying.
it is a feeling like nothing else. It's a very addictive feeling, to be
Yeah.
building something, and then you
Mhm.
realize, wait, I think this is working.
Yeah.
I think
It
this is
starts
I
to
think
come
this is really
together.
working.
It's exhilarating.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
all fun. Yeah.
Mike, let me ask you something. Say if you have somebody watching this show right now that just been diagnosed with stage 3, stage 4, and they got anxiety through the roof, and they call your company up. How can you help that person reduce their anxiety about just being diagnosed for stage 3 or 4 kidney disease?
Well, that's a great question. So first of all, I would say we can't
Mm-hmm.
reduce your anxiety. Only you can reduce your anxiety. We're here to help you find a way to reduce your own anxiety, to feel more in control, to feel more knowledgeable, to feel more confident, to feel more connected to people on this topic. And I think there are known techniques. There are ways to do that. Not all techniques work for everybody, but we have a pretty broad view of those, and we can make some suggestions and let you try some things out, and give you some things like conversation guides to start conversations with people. One of the mistakes people make, when they're trying to encounter a really difficult decision, and they want to involve their family, is they feel they have to jump to the end of the story. You got to
Yeah.
jump, like, I want to talk to my family. I'm thinking about transplant. You don't need to jump into the conversation about will you,
Diving into the deep end, right?
right? But there are steps along the way, to get more comfortable, to establish some ground, to lower your anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
stepwise, step by step in small increments. And then one day you will find that you are in the middle of something that might have paralyzed you with anxiety previously, but now you feel a little bit more confident. You feel like it's actually something that you can deal with. So, I mean, that's what I would say. Our guides are there to listen and to help direct you to resources that have been proven to work for other people. And there are multiple choices. If the first thing doesn't do it for you, well, we can help you find a second thing. Everybody is different, and everybody experiences this journey differently, and we are here to respect and honor that difference and do everything we can to help you help yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It sounds empowering. I like that because the more someone has knowledge or information, the less anxiety they have. The more you become familiar with something, the less fear you have about it. So I like
That's
that.
right. Yeah. And sometimes it just takes just talking about it, talking to somebody once for 15 minutes once every 3 months in a clinic is not enough to make you feel comfortable with the topic. You need to have more exposure to it, more touches of the ball, so to speak,
Right, right, yeah.
and sometimes that's all it really takes, is just to have a regular steady stream of, let's just talk about this for a little bit today, just for a few minutes. Here's a story, a real story, a patient story from somebody just like you, or here's a video explaining some simple concept, or here's a short video of 10 different people all struggling to properly pronounce glomerular filtration rate. We have a video that's just that. It's really quite funny, and I mean, it's very human, right?
Right, right, right.
Pronounce it right. You just need to know what it is.
Yeah, the other one I struggle with is FSGS. I can say the acronym, but actually pronouncing all of the terminology for FSGS, I struggle with that. But
Yeah. So I mean, I think that in the end, we're all just we're all just animals attached to this rock in space, right?
right, right.
And we just, what we have more than anything though is each other. So that's finding those connections and breaking through that sense of isolation that you were talking about earlier, Steve, which I think is just so profound in our society at large,
Sure.
right? And how much more acute is it for people who actually do have a real thing that
Mm-hmm.
is separating them from the other people in their life?
To be
So many of
divisive.
us feel disconnected, but actually we're just doing it to ourselves, right? But I think that there are people who genuinely are struggling and genuinely have some just need somebody just to reach out a hand sometimes,
Mm.
and that can be such a powerful gesture,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like with the information that you've given, if whoever may be watching right now, hashtag live, hashtag replay, if you would, in the comment section. But if you want more information about what Michael is talking about, then I'm gonna include this in the YouTube description in my video. Let's see if we can get some thumbs up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there we go. And that way there'll be a link to your website, Michael, and they can
Yes.
click on that and get more information so that they can, put this in practice if it does fit, what their life is.
Yeah.
If it's coming together and it fits, then great. And
That's
and that'd be beautiful if it does help them in any way, because I started out this conversation with Steve is that what we really want to do is inspire people.
Yeah.
And if we can help them get inspired by what you're sharing today, then that's absolutely fantastic, because if we can put a spark in someone's life, then that's great, because we've met so many different people in this journey that feel not only isolated, but they feel like they feel overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had talked about, where they get distracted because they're in a situation where they've got somebody saying this and a family member saying that,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, there's all this chatter, and they don't know how necessarily to focus on what fits them instead of what everybody's telling them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if this app can help them, then great. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you an email address, a special one for your audience, to just reach out to somebody in our team, ask any questions you want. We'll hold your hand through the whole thing if you want. Of course, most of the program content can just be consumed without really having to interact with any people over here if you don't want to. So it's pretty flexible. You have as much or as little support from the Ayogo team as you want in navigating around our content. And just on that point of inspiration, anybody who reaches out to us, I just want you to know we are inspired by you. You are dealing with something very, very challenging, and you are doing things for yourself, and you are living an important life. And that is, that's really inspiring. You won't speak to anybody at Ayogo who doesn't have anything but deep respect for you and the experience that you're living.
Very cool.
Right. Jay, let me ask Mike, I just want to ask you one more question. I was looking at your site,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted you to just talk a little bit about this interview, smartphones and the health and well-being of underserved and vulnerable communities.
Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, thanks for looking that up. So Jessica Dorazio, who is one of the people on our design team, who is a supremely talented and intelligent young woman, and again, just feel so privileged to be working with somebody like that. This is a topic she's very passionate about, and that while we are building up all this infrastructure in society, all this technology, all this social media and all this kind of sort of technical environment, it's easy to forget that. William Gibson said, that the future is here. It's just not evenly distributed.
Right. Yeah.
And we can forget that, while I love to have the internet on my phone so that when I'm standing in line in the grocery store, I can go online, it's easy to forget that for some people, that is the only way they can access the internet. That is there was a time when we were like, well, young women who are living in poverty. We work with an organization in Chicago that helps young women who are pregnant for the first time and living on the street find housing and work and healthcare. There was a time when you think about that population of people and think, well, they're not going to have smartphones, right? But now we know They all have smartphones
Yeah.
because that's the only way you can get things done in this society. You can't pay
They
a
have
bill.
it.
You
Yeah.
can't there's hardly anything that you can do if
Uh-huh.
you don't have access to the internet. And it's a powerful thing that we have created, that I have the same phone that Jeff Bezos does,
Yeah.
right? We have literally the same, no matter how much money you have or rich you have, we are sharing that. That is a powerful opportunity that we don't always take advantage of. We don't always take advantage of the way that we've made this technology makes information accessible, makes services accessible. But we create these unnecessary barriers. Usually it's about money, but it could also be about
Mm.
other things
Mhm.
that exclude people completely unnecessarily.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's something that Jessica is very, very passionate about. And I had a conversation with her, and when we were talking about it, I was like, you know what, Jessica, I'm going to record this, and then we're gonna make it into an article, because what you're saying is really important. And we try
Wow.
we try to
Wow.
we try
Okay.
to do stuff like that with people on our team. We got a lot of passionate people, and so
Impressive.
yeah, that was one. Yeah, thanks for asking about that. That is something that's really important to us. Jessica works with this organization called New Moms in Chicago. That's one of her. It's one of her
Oh,
projects.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like she's really passionate about it, and I've had just a a little bit of interaction with her already, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
I think she's absolutely very charismatic. I like that, and
Yeah.
she's attentive too.
She's very, very kind of low key. She's like one, they say
Mm-hmm.
still water runs deep, right? Like she's not one of those people. Like I talk a lot, as you could probably tell. I probably talk more than I should. Um, she's not like that. She's quite quiet, and but
Very likable, though.
very likable and charming, as you say, and really smart. I mean,
Yeah.
really, really smart. I love working with people like that. They surprise you, by, you can't even really tell. Like when you're talking to me, you can always tell what I'm thinking about something, because I'll be talking about it and jumping around. And with Jessica, will just sort of like, she just all of a sudden she'll make a comment in a meeting, and everyone will be like, "Wow, right."
It's more
Amazing.
profound when people with that sort of personality will say something, because they don't always, talk a lot like, extroverts like myself or you, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Love the introverts. They're important. They're important people in this world.
For sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Michael. Thank you, so much for coming on and
Yes.
Well,
sharing
I
the
can assure you that
information.
the pleasure's mine. I can assure you.
Well, I'm gonna share the information. Send me the email, that you were talking about. I'll put that in the YouTube description of this video, and we'll get this information out to as many people as possible.
Thank you so much. It's been a
Absolutely.
real pleasure speaking to you, and really an honor to be on the call with both of you, Steve and Jared. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
You too, Mike. Thank you for coming on.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. Enjoy.
Bye bye.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Wow, wow, what a wonderful interview.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Great guy, man. Sound like a great organization, and something that warriors should take advantage of, and their families, especially if you have uh, stage 1, 2. Well, he said they work with people
Mhm.
with stage 3B and 4.
Right.
So I'm sure if you have stage 3A and reached out, they wouldn't turn you
No,
away.
I doubt it. Yeah. What I also liked is how, I mean, I love passion. I love passion, and he definitely, when he speaks, very animated, and his facial expressions and everything just real. And I like that about anybody, but especially when someone is talking from their heart. And I like that. Just very passionate and real when he speaks, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. I just hope families and people who are dealing with kidney disease, 3A, 3B, or 4, even 5 up to
Right.
a certain
Mm-hmm.
point, take advantage. Like you said, he said it was free.
Mm-hmm.
Take advantage of the situation and reach out just to see how it
Right.
is. I mean, you ain't got to pay anything. and it doesn't hurt to check it out. But Jared, the biggest challenge that I find in this space since we've been doing these shows is participation.
Mm-hmm.
People, the information is
They've
out
got to
there,
act,
and people act on the,
yeah.
situation. So
Take action, and this is a way that's introduced by Michael and his organization, where if you take action today and with the email that he's given me, and you get more involved with this, see if it fits and take action, because you're right. I mean, you've got to participate because you don't know what you don't know. You know?
that's true. That's true. And 15, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have access to this type of information, the technology, the internet, smartphones, applications. And now would probably be the best time to take advantage of this technology, especially if you are someone that lives alone and dealing with a chronic illness and don't have a support system, because I'm sure they have many apps that have support on there. I mean, like support groups or something that could pretty much help someone dealing with loneliness or lack of support, something that can help them with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been great, Steve. I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, absolutely, Jared.
Man,
It's been wonderful.
it has, man. When we tag team, I always enjoy it. And hopefully I can jump on one of your TikTok lives and we can collaborate again very soon. Okay, brother?
Oh, absolutely, man. Look forward to it. Always a pleasure. I missed the days, but I know that, life goes on and, responsibilities and other things come about. But I'm definitely looking forward to doing another show with you soon, Jared.
For sure.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if we can get give me a couple peace signs. Can you do that for me? Let's see. There we go. There we go. Let's get the confetti going. There we go.
My confetti didn't come up.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the green screen or not, but yeah, there we go. There we go.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. It's falling on my head. Yeah, and if you do this, there's supposed to be let's see if I can get all right, let's see if we can get the thumbs up. There's supposed to be a little there we go. Little thumbs up emoji that pops
Oh
up.
man, didn't even work.
All right.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The smallest things with technology amuse me. So there we go. I'm amused. But anyway, God bless, brother.
Same to you,
All right,
man.
homie.
Stay blessed and encouraged.
Okay.
Talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye.
All right, you guys. Man, it's been awesome. Thank you for joining me on the Warriors Quest show. We've had again Michael Fergusson and Steve, the kidney nurse. What a great interview with Michael Fergusson. I've got the email in the comment section. I'm going to include it in my YouTube description. Send him an email. It's important that you at least take action. Find out if it's going to fit you in your life, and if it does give you some inspiration, then fantastic, as I said earlier, because that's why we do this, is to give people inspiration. I want to inspire you. So thank you for watching. All right, have a blessed weekend. Peace. I'm out. Let's see, I usually do an outro.